All right. Hello, home service pros. Welcome back to episode 172 of the Battle Plan Marketing Podcast. We're continuing on with our uh, interview with author Kim Hopkins of the Million Dollar Contracting and owner operator, some nearly 4 decades of an awesome electrical service company out in Los Angeles. Kim, welcome back to the show, sir.
Hello.
Let's Hey, glad to have you back. I enjoy the ongoing education.
Yeah, it's fun.
So now we're we're into the meat. So profits. Let's talk profits, price book, um, and how to manage all this. How to make sure we're making a profit. Where do we start there? How do we price our services to make sure we are making a profit? What's the math there? If we're going to own a business, we got to be able to do some basic math to make sure we're making money, right?
Yeah, this one gets complicated in terms of, you know, in the book, you can just follow along with numbers and whatnot. But, the bottom line is what's really a profit. So why don't we just start with,
Yeah, and let's assume we have a whole year in business, so we have some data to work with and stuff.
okay, although, like after you've been working for a month, that you're working on your own, you better still be making a profit. But
You,
this is like philosophical. I'm not like an MBA guy, and I'm sure there's all kinds of exciting formulas to make all this true. But like, let's just get down to earth here, the real world profit that you need to make. So you go off in a simple way. A guy goes to his neighbor's house and he does a job and he says, "Yeah, give me $100," and so he gets $100. Well, okay, so what did he make $100 profit? I don't think so. He probably didn't make it because he probably used some material. So let's say he put in, all he did though is put in a GFI receptacle, let's say for somebody or something, just replace one. Okay. And it took him like an hour and a half or something. So he says, "Oh, okay, $100." GFI is probably going to cost him $25 from the hardware store. And yes, technically, if he drove there to get it, there's gasoline and there's insurance on his car. There's all that
right,
keeping it, and that matters when you have a 30-person company like I do. That really, everything matters. But when
right,
it's his own truck and he drives it to the movie theater right after that with his wife. But bottom line is, okay, there was gas involved, this and that. So let's throw in $5 extra. So he made $70. Is that his profit? It could be if he's got another job. He works for ADB's Electric or something, and he breaks even with that. Then this is pure profit. So $70. That's the profit in that case. However, let's talk about a guy that now has his own business. And so he needs to decide, okay, how much money do I need a week? That's what I want to know. So, I'm not going to say $1,000 is enough. That's $50,000, but I'm just going to keep it. Let's just say it is. He's a young guy, he lives in an apartment by himself or something. So $1,000, he's happy with that. He'll pay all his bills with that. So and he'll go out to eat once in a while or whatever he does. So he needs $1,000. Okay, well that $70 takes on a whole different color there. Like that's part of his $1,000 that he needs to make for that week, right? So let's say he wants to work 5 days a week. Well, he better make $200 a week. So then $70 is not $200. So
right.
you better have other little service calls to make that day and stuff like that. So let's say that he makes, let's say $200. That's not enough because remember, he was only 70 for the profit off the $100. So let's say he makes $1,500 that week. Okay. And let's say the material cost him 300. So now he's got 200. Well, he does have to consider his car. He does have to consider, whatever the other expenses, insurance on his car. What about his telephone bill? Now he's got every single
Right.
bill is now connected to that. So by the time he's done, he won't have any money left. Like, what about there's rent. Like now, like his business, that may be fine. And maybe he can tell the IRS that his bedroom is his office, and and so he can take 25% of his living expenses and charge it to his company as a business.
Right.
Many things will happen, but I'll tell you that it's going to take. Let's say if he thinks $2,000 a week is enough, okay, because then maybe 1,500 goes for this and that and whatever. But the reality is, there's just so many little things that people don't think about. By the time they're done, like this guy, if he wanted to take home $1,000, he better make 2,000. Like,
Mhm.
and there's another aspect to this. And let's say he's happy with that. Just, I would say, between the insurance and the phone bill and the advertising and the everything he has to do, and he has to buy the
Software.
whole, and he has to do this and that. Like,
Yep.
if he grosses $2,000 and material costs 500, he will have at least another 500 in all these other expenses related to it. It's hidden. This is a really insidious little thing that happens to contractors. They start off working out of their own truck and tools. Like, if they just start with just this one, I'm me, I have my own truck. He had that truck. He bought that truck before.
Right.
Okay, but is he saving money for the next truck? No. What about
His home.
the maintenance? Like, he had a certain kind of insurance. Now he has another bank account because he has to do this and that.
Right.
And when you're doing a little jobs for friends or around the neighborhood, and then you expand a little bit, and you're relying on word of mouth, it seems as if you're just doing favors for friends and then you get some money, but it's not. It's a downfall of contractors when they suddenly realize now they've got a helper that they're paying for him. Now they got some payroll, but oh man, I need a new truck. That's
Right.
50 grand,
Right.
60 grand. And oh, I look on my bank account. I was so happy making $2,000 a week. I was doing so well. I don't
Right.
have any money in there.
Right.
So
Right.
you've got to really understand that when you want to make a profit, that doesn't mean that you make your living expenses week after week for a while. It means you have to account for all the expenses you're accruing without even thinking about it. Like, every week you drive that truck is a week in the future you're not going to have that truck anymore. You'll need a new one, as an example. But
Right.
and some people are so bad that they let wholesale bills stack up, and then they suddenly realize at the end of the month, $800. Where's that going to come from?
Right. Right.
Or there's broken tools, stolen ladder.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
so, remember when I said it's $1,000, and the guy working around the neighborhood, and he'll make $700 extra profit or something, but 1,000 became 2,000 just to break even. But breaking even is not making a profit.
Right.
He's going to need $3,000.
Right.
Okay, now you're talking. Okay, because he'll be able to save money for the truck.
Right.
I'm using that as a slight example, but buying extra tools that he didn't have before, diagnostic things that cost $800 sometimes or whatever, right? So he'll never have a problem figuring out where to spend that money. Don't worry about that. But if he makes $3,000 gross, hey, Uncle Sam, let's not forget Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam's going to take about 2/3 of that
Yeah.
3,000, the last 1,000. So like 3,000 becomes like 2,300 or something like that after taxes. And then there's this, and then there's that. And then there's another aspect, which is personally, he took that $1,000. That's all he wanted. And he gets it. Remember the guy in the apartment? He's got his $1,000. Okay. But you know what he's not doing? He's not putting away 10%.
Right.
He doesn't have money for 10%. So
Right.
he really needs $1,100. Okay. And every time you add $100 to your income, you better add $300 to the gross, because that's kind of like a little formula. You need triple what comes to you if you take a third of it.
Right.
So ultimately, it takes a lot of money. That's about like way more money than people really understand. And this is one of like maybe the three things that destroy contractors' businesses is they don't realize how much money they need, how much extra money at the end, and what a real profit is. So a real profit is when they can bring home 10% more than they need, and they put that in the bank, because If you want to do what I did, which is, $1 million contracting, you don't make millions of dollars by being a contractor. You make it by being an investor. Okay. Brain surgeons don't make millions of dollars being brain surgeons. They invest their money.
Right.
Okay. They invest their 10% that they make every week. And that's what you got to do. If you do it as a contractor, you will become a millionaire. Like it takes 10 or 15 years and you'll become one.
Yeah.
So, and then one other minor detail, remember that 10% that he's got to bring home to be making a profit? Well, his company needs 10% extra above and beyond expenses saved for the future. There's things that come up for sure, but even if there aren't, it'll be used for expansion or for promotion in a new way that they didn't do before. So to be really affluent, that your company as a contractor needs to be able to retain 10% above and beyond all of its expenses. Retain. It didn't go anywhere. And then you yourself at home, when you bring it home, you need to retain 10%. And you do those two things will make you affluent if you can make that happen, which gets back into being competent and being able to promote correctly. So
10%.
3 things,
Yes, indeed. So you're right. A lot to unpack there. So that transition from, one chuck to starting to grow, multi-person business. You're right. So your prices are at the one chuck level, and now you're not adding the expenses, which is why, you see a chain company with multi-locations or even a very big single location successful. Their prices are seemingly high, but the cost to roll out that truck is enormous, right? You got a couple of $100 at least to roll out a truck to a household, would you say?
We have a $89 service call that by the time they get to the door, that's been spent, for sure. But we rely on the fact that we're going to do work there virtually every time.
Right. Yeah. Free estimate, yes? No, $89.
Over the phone estimates are free. And I've got staff that's well-trained to do EV car chargers as an electrician and many other tasks. I have an entire price book.
Nice.
And the thing is, the guys in the field have a price book. It's right on their iPhone, and so there are the prices. So when somebody calls in and says, how much you charge to add a light fixture, we can tell them. A lot of our work is way more like we have a person that goes out and says, oh, that's going to be $75,000 to, change out all your sub panels in this entire building plus, So we do a lot of that work. But when it comes to service work, the office staff knows just as well as anyone else. They can literally just read it right off of a.
Sweet.
And what that means, the benefit of that, see, there's 2 ways to go on that. Okay. My way I do it, I've always done it this way, is my staff knows what to say. They'll say it's going to be, oh, it's an EV car, and okay, what's the distance, and how much this, and what kind of that. Okay, that it says right here, that's going to be $850. Okay, and it's a 20-foot run, so that's what it'll be. So we get out there, and the guy says, yeah, it's about 20, 25 feet. Yeah, okay, it's about $800. It will be $800. We give him a firm bid, So now it's $800. Okay. Or the customer, we get out there and it's like, that's $1,250, man. Well, what? You said 800. Well, yeah. And you said 20 feet. Like it's 80 feet. It's 80 feet.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure that happens a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's one way. Here's the other way to do it. Okay. You say, oh, it's $80 or $100 for a diagnostic fee. This has become really popular. Okay. Now, what you need there is you need all your tradespeople to be decent salespeople. They go out and now the customer's obligated to pay $100. Okay. So now they're like, I'm in for it for 100. What's it going to cost? Well, it's going to be $350 to take, unplug your sink, ma'am, when it really should be like 60 or whatever. But that's another style that some of these ripoff guys will use. That they try to get somebody into it to invest. But what they don't have to do is invest in office staff that's knowledgeable. All they have to do is have a one person there that says, yes, well, we'll go out to your job, we'll do a full diagnostic, and then we'll give you an exact price in writing. That's all they have to learn one little
One spiel. Yeah, 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 yeah.
The problem with that is the ripoff guys that go out there, and it takes like 3 visits before they get somebody to bite on an outrageous price. So they have to charge, well, 3 times as much to make the same profit as we do.
Yeah,
It's like,
and they
you
have
know,
to leave town after a while.
you would think, but I'm in LA, it's a
Well, that's true.
big
Yeah, yeah,
population, so they
yeah.
rely on that. Small town, yeah, it's not gonna last long.
No, no, not at all. Yeah.
They constantly have to advertise for new work. They don't make any more profit than my company, probably less, but that's just their mindset. That's the kind of personality these owners have,
Oh, yeah, they're working
you know,
working twice as hard as they need to. It's crazy.
and leaving unhappy customers wherever they go.
Yeah, and stressing out themselves. I never understood the mindset, it's, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, well, let's go back to the price book. So how we, do you revisit that annually? How you, tinkering with your price book? Make sure you got your profit margins.
Yeah, it's not like a book in writing, it's electronic, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can we get a feel for it. We go, "Oh, gee," like, our guys come back and say, "Look, Cam, I did this whole job and I didn't make that much money, and yet I did everything right." And, well, let's revisit that. "Oh, yeah, it looks like these light switches were $8, they should be 12 now," and every now and then we'll calculate, should the labor go up? We have to decide if we're gonna do that as well. Um,
Gotcha.
our guys make really good profit, working, and the labor's not that, inflation's only 3 or 4%, so labor's not the big issue. Material almost,
Inflation on labor, you mean? Inflation on labor.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
well, inflation on everything, like, not the material. I mean, a guy that goes out and he wants to buy some food or shop or whatever, like, what's the annual inflation rate for the United States? There's 3%, 5%, it depends
Usually.
on the year,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, but that implies his labor would keep up if it was 3% or 5% more.
Right, right,
So,
right.
like, the material doesn't matter. Now, the material electrically anyway, I don't know about plumbing probably, and lumber and stuff. During the pandemic, it doubled. I mean, it doubled,
Right,
but
right.
so you do have to separate out labor and material.
How much of that, like, how much of that supply is coming from foreign countries where, now tariffs are being applied to? Like, how are you adjusting? If you all of a sudden you're getting hit with a 50% increase in your price, you gotta be careful there, right? Are you
Well,
gonna
yeah, on a long-term contract, and then what happened out of the White House this week, but it doesn't, it's funny, the news is like 100% tariff, this tariff, that tariff, and then somehow they just never show up. Like, have you ever noticed that? Like, they're not, where's the tariff? Where's the tariff on all the new cars? Where's the tariff
Yeah,
on this? It's like,
yeah.
it's, so we don't count it. We don't
It's
care.
noise.
We
Yeah,
didn't
even the market has
have
stopped,
any prices go up.
yeah, agreed. Even the market has stopped, reacting drastically to the noise.
It's a little, yeah, it's like calling whoop about 20 times too many times to,
Yeah, but you do have to watch it because it is
oh,
a
yeah.
real world and, for lots of companies out there, so it's putting people out of business,
Oh,
so,
it's a bad, like, imagine you wanna buy stuff for Christmas, but you don't know what they're gonna cost, and you
exactly,
got a warehouse you gotta fill, and then you don't even know about the economy, who's gonna buy it. I don't envy any of those people. Like,
yeah,
we're like, every one of our journeymen has a beautiful truck, like Mercedes trucks with incredible ladders, and we customize the sides so that you open them up and you can just pull out any drawer, and
nice.
I mean, they're like $100,000 vehicles,
Yeah,
by the time we're done, at least,
yeah,
and then fully stocked with
super
everything,
efficient.
right? And I'll tell you one efficient thing, guys, is then we don't have a warehouse. Well, we just tell the guys, okay, drive to Home Depot for the simple stuff and go to these wholesale houses whenever you need it. They have to do it on their time. Like, I have a whole different, they're all like mini contractors themselves. I treat them.
Individual, yeah,
Yeah. And so we don't have any stock. And so every week we know what things cost. Like, it's real simple to keep track of it. And we don't have any complex way. We just do that.
beautiful. Love that. Efficiency. Yeah, lean, mean machine.
Yeah.
All right, so we got pricing, right, and we're taking out 10% of profits. There's that profit first accounting system. Not sure if you're aware where I'm going to greatly summarize it, but
Okay.
you have multiple bank accounts and you stash X amount into taxes every month or every, week or two, X amount into your own profit account, X amount into your own pay account, X amount into your reserve account, and the rest is all operational. I think I got that right.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to show you some.
So you stash in that reserve somewhere, Kim, and not just leaving it in your operational account where you might pull out of it.
Yeah. Let's see if I can.
No, too close, too close. There you go.
Okay. Can you guys see that there's different line items and everything?
Find it. They can take a screenshot and zoom in. Yep, I see it. Reserves. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, reserves. Let's see. 401ks for the employees, savings.
Right.
That's where some of that goes. Promotions. Uh, let's see. Wholesale bill reserve. Every week we better put stuff in there. We have other reserves, and those other reserves, $451,000. That's just the other reserves. That's the one for like workers' comp and for this and for that. Like it's been working its way up to where it's ridiculous. Like we don't need anything like that amount of money. Our problem at this point was we just pulled it. I just made the phone call to my office manager yesterday, but we're pulling money out to put in my personal accounts out of the company, and that's because $250,000 is all that's insured. And talk about economic times.
Right.
Not at all relaxed about whatever's happening with.
Oh, no.
So
Credit is yeah.
we need to
Foreclosure.
insure the money, so it's fine to keep it in the bank as long as you get it back if there's some kind of problem with the bank.
Yeah,
So
know your limits and safeguards and all that jazz, yeah. Because there are definitely, a rise in foreclosures and, delinquencies and all that good stuff. A normal economic, down cycle.
yeah, so I have like every week, literally once a week, I get a report. How much is in our bank account? And by that, I don't mean all the reserves. I mean just the cash
Total.
there after we put everything where it needs to be. And then I've got one, how much money is owed, mine is about 4 to 1. Like what's owed is about 4 times more than I have, which is good because I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
more than I have for what I have in the cash, but I know there's money coming in
right.
the next few weeks.
Cash flow.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think there's all these line items, you add them up and everything, and it's called the company viability report. At the very bottom, it says, this is how much Mr. Kim Hopkins has invested in this company at this point. And I can keep track of that. So yeah, we keep track of our
Sweet,
dollars.
sweet. And that's a separate, like, bank account that you reserve money at? Push it aside?
It's the same bank. And
Separate,
some of it's in our checking, and some we have like two, because there's one that people can automatic deposits and all that. But it's like maybe the same bank account most of the time, but it's different categories in our
accounting
account.
software.
Right. So we're good to go on. It might as well be different bank accounts.
Yeah, I got it.
Switch back and forth. We have to know that the compartments are there on paper. They're
Right.
not necessarily separated in.
I
Like
got
a
it.
bathtub with 10 gallons of water, we can say there's 10 gallons of water in there, and we can only take from one of those 5 gallons at a time or something.
I got you. Yeah, just, one account categorized,
Yeah,
several
like,
categories.
QuickBooks takes care of like pretending it's lots of different accounts, basically.
Yeah, indeed, exactly. And, I saw in a book you try to your goal is about 2 weeks expenses, is that correct? Did I read that correct, for your reserve account to keep it floating?
Yeah. Um, our gross is like 100,000 a week. Let's see what we got here.
So you're at, like, 4.5x, but you recommend
Yeah,
2x.
200. Like we need, including my profit and other things, theoretically about 100,000 a week. And right now, this week we have 140, but it works out. Like we have very reliable customers and whatnot. If you want to be safe, if you just have typical customers, you better have 2 weeks worth of cash flow.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. If you got a lot of good referral partners or big customers who constantly need work, right? And have shown reliability and all that. We talked about that in the last one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The better the customers, the better your life becomes in
Indeed.
every way. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So we're priced right. We're pulling money out for reserves to make sure we don't have any hiccups in operations should cash flow shrink a little bit. And now, and you talk about also taking 10% chunk out for marketing, right? Is that of sales or profits there?
It is sales. It's gross.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I didn't even say that, did I? Like that's another thing
No,
people
that's okay.
they don't reserve anything for marketing and like
Right.
well now we're at $3,000. This guy that wants $1,000. Well, he probably has enough. So he's doing a job and he thinks that job should cost $100. Okay, but no, it shouldn't. It should cost 100 and I'll make it simple, $110. And the reason is you should take 10% of your gross and don't spend it on anything but marketing. If you don't have a reserve for marketing, how can you expand or even stay the same when you have attrition with your existing customers?
Yeah.
So, $10 doesn't sound like much, but if you do $100,000 a week, like we do, or more, like let's just say it's 100,000, that's 10,000. Okay, 10,000. Now, the thing about marketing is, okay, you can pay somebody to advertise for you. You can try, pay per click or something. There's a lot of ways to spend your money, and a lot of ways to lose it quickly. Let's just say you have something where you're paying somebody for something that is working for you. And
Right.
you're doing some marketing. That's really fine and people can be pretty happy with that. But there's always a whole other aspect of marketing. And I'll tell you, this is the good side at the end of the rainbow, I guess you'd call it, with my company, because we've been around so long. We have so many repeat and referred customers. I'll start by saying
Yeah.
that truly is the cheapest possible promotion, to have do quality work and be friendly and have your customers like you. Like you'd be amazed how many repeat customers you can get when you think, geez, I rewired their entire house. What's left?
Agreed.
Consider left.
Agreed. Agreed. So if I could stop you there for a sec, if you take some of the money you think you were going to spend in advertising and instead spend it on training, additional income for your employees, make them happier, because it's they who will make your customers happy, right? Make that experience awesome. And now you've got a perfect path to, as you were saying, referrals, repeat business, all that, right? It's got to be excellent.
That's exactly correct. You've nailed it. You see, I was about to say,
Sorry.
no, you're
Stole your
what I
thunder.
said. Yeah, steal my thunder. Okay, I'm out of here.
Damn it. This interview's over, man.
Yeah, that's it. End the interview.
I'm out of here.
No, okay. So I've got, I don't know, I'd say 2 of my office staff, at least, all they do is handle all the business related to all the repeat customers that call and want more work.
Nice.
Like if I don't have somebody to service them, I'm not going to get those jobs anymore. See, I don't have to find a way to get people to call me anymore. I have to find a way to keep the people that call me happy. So my marketing literally goes into salaries of employees.
Right.
Because I'm at that point. And you guys can get there too if you build it up and have enough people calling in. So that's it. It's you got to keep an open mind. What is really promotion? What is really marketing? And sometimes marketing and good promotion is just handling your existing customers really well, and then they give you the next job. And what did I get today? This guy referred us to another guy who has 7 apartment buildings or something that we have to go out and look at and do all kinds of work in, like that. And it's for free. He wants to talk about us, the original customer. He likes us so much. So it's key,
So maybe that whole 10% is not being spent on, let's say, advertising or, direct mail, whatever. And some of it, a slice of it is what, either shared in profit maybe with your employees or invested somehow in the, efficiency education of your team.
Yeah, all of that's true. All of it. What you just said again, Mark, and didn't steal my thunder, but okay, I'll tell you something interesting.
I'm going to stop talking. I'm sorry.
I love these, I love all these Christian businesses that have the fish and they're so wonderful and everything, And I'll just tell you that I'm not one of those fish guys. I'm not I don't worship Satan. I'm just a guy that let's just say I'm a New Testament kind of guy.
Prove it to me.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm into the,
Yeah.
one to others level of stuff, right?
As soon as they say, trust me,
Yeah,
I'm
trust
worried
me.
about you.
Yeah, they should put the right in the middle of their fish. Trust me,
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm worried about you as soon as you
Just
say
ask
that.
my
Right? So
probation
just
officer. Yeah,
just prove it to me with your service,
yeah.
and then no
Yeah.
worries.
So the reason I'm bringing that up is, yeah, there is something else I do that you just touched on briefly. It's this. Okay, so at the end of the day, there really is a profit. I keep taking things away to say that's not profit yet. That's not profit yet. That's not okay. But eventually, there really is a profit. Okay. Now, the profit that my company makes in the last quarter, it made, let's call it,
A lot of money.
yeah, let's just say a company made $180,000. Okay. And let's just say that there were 6 employees. No, let's just say there's 8 employees. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I literally do this every quarter. When there's a profit, whether it's $1 or $100,000 or whatever it's going to be, I literally have another graph that I'm not going to show you, but the employees can look at it every day if they want to. It's right online, ready to go. It says what we make last week and how much of that goes to the employees. And
Yep.
I'll tell you how much goes. A third of my entire profit goes to the, and when you're
Dude,
talking about, let me put it this way. I have 8 employees in the office and they all got $6,500 bonus, 6,500 for 13 weeks.
love it.
Okay, not to mention they get paid like really well
Love
besides
it.
that. Okay, but okay, that's a lot of money. That's like $500 extra a week that they made. And
Yeah.
the reason is, oh, first of all, what would I want to get if I was working for somebody else, which I never did. So I started my own company, right? But second of all, why should I expect them to knock themselves out for a salary they're going to get anyway? Like, why not make them be like the owner? Like, hey, if
Right.
I work hard and if I do a good job, and they can watch each other, they know who's doing what.
Right.
Like, they're accountable to one another.
Right.
And not to mention, there's a whole other benefit of attrition, which is zero.
Right.
And
Yeah.
nobody's going to quit my company. Or
Yeah.
at least,
There's a line out the door to
I don't
get
know
in.
about the line. All I can tell you is we're a pretty good team at this point, and it's been like that for a while, and everybody's happy. Nobody asked me for raises because they can't. Like, what they can do is make more profit. And
Exactly.
and then you think, okay, well, I get 2/3 then of all the profit. No, I don't, because earlier in this little conversation, I mentioned you got to keep putting money back into the company. It part of your profit. So a third goes to my employees, a third goes to the company for expansion, whatever we want to do it for, and then a third goes to me. So I literally make a third of the profit, which is way, way less, of course, than the gross income of the company. So
Right.
I'm making okay living, but I'm not I'm not one of these white devil slave master guys. Like, I just can't deal with it. How it doesn't feel right to me. So I
It's
don't know.
not right.
You
They
know,
are your company. They are, it's, the company's nothing without them, and so it takes them all. So and by doing that, like you said, you've created a team where everybody looks out and helps, each other to make sure, "Hey, we need to deliver a great service. I want that bonus again, next quarter." So,
right?
yeah,
And if
exactly.
someone doesn't do their job right, they're pretty. People know, and
Exactly.
there's
And
a
how can I help you? "Hey, Kim, sorry, I'm not doing so well. Can you help me with this, that, or the other thing? I
and
want that
they
bonus
all
too."
do. They all do. And then they get once a month they get what we call a free Friday. So They get like 1 day off a month. That's like 2 extra weeks a year of not
Yeah.
exactly vacation, but just got to go to the dentist, or they got this, or they do that, and then somehow Free Friday became whatever day of the week that they scheduled.
I'm guessing you have no problem pulling in, when you do need you have a position to fill. I'm guessing, most of the time that's filled through your network of their network, your employees'
Well,
network.
like the last person we hired, it's a delicate balance from my employees' viewpoint. They're thinking, if we hire another guy, that means we'll make a little less on that bonus. But on the other hand, we're really busy and we're getting exhausted. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
so it
That's
anyway,
funny.
I've got a good crew.
They
So
are definitely thinking like owners, man. That's beautiful. And you did share that document you speak of. I can't remember in which episode. So, for the watchers, listeners, go back and listen to them all. Talks about sharing, being transparent with your numbers, with your employees. Let them know, hey, this is what we're making, because they think you're making a fortune anyway, right? So,
yeah, they know. Yeah, they never can think that I'm. Well, they do think I make a lot of money, but they think that I deserve it because they're getting more than they could possibly get working anywhere else anyway. So
exactly. Where are you gonna work and get the, part of the profits, regularly? Not too many places.
they're
Small
making like
percent.
six-figure incomes. They're
Right.
pretty much, if you work in my company for 10 years, you're buying houses and you're doing
Yeah,
stuff. So
exactly. Way to go, man. Congrats, Kim.
yeah.
Alright, let's talk about how so I think your next couple of chapters are hiring and retaining employees. We don't have a lot of time, but,
Well, you know what? There's something about making a profit money. I could just close this one out.
yeah, fire away. There you go. We'll talk
Okay.
about,
It's a
employees next.
little different than making a profit, but it's this. What do you do when you start working on side jobs and whatnot? This will come up in a later chapter too, but just as a thing, just as a tip. If you just work as many hours as you can, and if you're not working as many hours as you can, then it's not the money problem. It's you got promotion issues that you got to deal with. But when you get up to a point where, let's say you're working for somebody else, and then you want to work 10 more hours a week doing other stuff. If you get to that point and you're getting a little bit well known and whatnot, where more work is coming in than you feel like you have time to solve it. That's the part I'm talking about. What you do is you raise your prices. You raise
Right,
it like five or
right.
$10 an hour, and then some people will drop off, but some won't. And then guess what? Now you're making more money, and you
Exactly.
need that money because you see, when you're working by yourself, driving around in a truck, that's fine. But when you buy a helper or get a helper, then you got to pay for them, and there's hidden expenses with helpers and other people. And the bottom line is, you work until you're as busy as you can be, and
Yeah,
and then you raise your prices a little bit, and then work will slow down a little bit, but it'll slow down to the part where you're still able to work the number of hours you want to work. And then
right.
you build it back up again. Then you raise your prices again. Now, there's a point when you stop doing that, like when you're about 10% higher than the average electrician out there. You stop there no matter how much work. Then you start selecting quality customers at that point. And the reason you don't go more than about 10% higher is because you'll get a reputation where people will refer you like crazy because they'll love you. They won't just think, well, I had to pay more, but it was worth it. They won't say that. They'll say, man, it's this guy. Like, he's about the same price as everybody else, maybe a
Right,
little higher, but man, I would never go anywhere else. You
right.
want that. You want that. And
No,
that's about 10% higher as long as you're a super quality uh, workman, a work person. You really have to deliver that, but then you're giving them more than 10% more than everybody else anyway. And the people that gravitate toward that, it's not the 10% isn't what matters to them. It's the service and quality that they want. So you're totally catering to the right people because they're the ones that always pay their bills.
yeah. Ultimately, we want our problem fixed or whatever our dream was, we want it installed or whatever the case may be, and, yeah, the price is, a little bit more for great work, and, well, almost everybody will pay that.
And
I like that.
a lot of times we're higher. It seems like we're higher. And I'll say, show me the other bid. I don't care about the pricing, just show it to me. And I'll say, look, they missed that, this, and that. Okay. Like that in our bid, that's about $7,000. So I don't know what else they charged you, but if it was $7,000 less, just telling you that you're going to get a surprise when the inspector says they have to do those things.
Right.
And it's countless jobs we've gotten because we can just review another bid.
Great. Yeah.
If you're good enough, if you can get the word out and you're good enough in quality and you manage your money correctly, those are like the three things to stay growing as.
Yeah. The quality will create the relationship. The relationship might give you a chance to see somebody else's, the context of their bids, maybe not the number, but the scope of work or whatever. Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right. Any closing words, sir? And we'll get into the rest the next time around.
No, just I hope things go well for everyone out there, and hopefully my book is helpful to people.
There you go. There'll be a link down in the description to his book. And how about if somebody is listening for the first time, Ken, and wants a job? Where do they go? Or they are in LA and they need a new service panel. Where do they go?
Well, Electric Connection. It's just the company name. Electric.
There you go. All right, folks. Create a great day. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks, guys.